On your Tuesday morning, time right now to check in, as we do weekly lately, with Savannah Mayor Van Johnson for an update on several topics we suspect today. Let's listen in.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning on day 107 of our COVID-19 journey. Here are the hot topics in Savannah this morning. Yesterday, 3 new COVID-19 deaths were reported in the Coastal Health District. 1 death in Glynn County and 2 in Chatham County. In Chatham County, the daily counts increased by double digits, Thursday through Saturday, and then again on Monday, for a total of more than 70 new cases. We currently have 636 cases in Chatham County, with 31 deaths. I do not like the trajectory that we are on. Due to a variety of factors, our numbers are beginning to rise. We are closely monitoring this situation, and we will not hesitate to issue emergency orders if necessary to tame these increases. If you test positive for COVID-19, we need you to self-isolate, even if you're asymptomatic. We are finding that some individuals with a positive lab report seem surprised and frustrated that they must self-isolate even though they feel fine. We need people to understand the importance of isolation and be willing to do their part to slow the spread, even in the absence of symptoms. We also repeated what we have said many times recently: this pandemic is not over. In the last several days, we have seen an upward trend in the daily average of new cases in most of our counties, so we want to be sure that individuals know that we must continue to be vigilant and take precautions. In other words, we must continue to keep the faith but follow the science. Starting today, our state loosens more COVID-19 restrictions with a new executive order from Governor Kemp, now in effect through the end of the month. In restaurants and dining rooms, there is no longer a party maximum for the number of people who can sit together. There is no longer a limit on the number of patrons allowed per square foot. Bars can host 50 people, up from 25, or 35% of the total listed fire capacity, whichever is greater. Gatherings of more than 50 people are banned unless there are at least 6 feet between each person. We are still asking you to make practical choices to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19 in our city. We want you to support local businesses and enjoy the great food and drinks that we have in Savannah, but please, please do it safely. Continue to wash or sanitize your hands regularly and encourage others to do the same. Wear a mask or face covering if you're going to be close to other people. When we all wear a mask, we're helping each other. My face covering protects you, and your face covering protects me. We know that many of our local businesses, especially our bars and restaurants, have taken extra precautions to keep their employees and customers safe. More than 700 businesses have committed to our Savannah Safe Pledge, and we're asking that you continue these practices even as you continue to increase capacity. Until the guidance from our health professionals change, each of us must do what we can to keep ourselves and each other healthy. One way the city is helping our food and beverage businesses do this is by expanding our outdoor dining program to include bars and extending the length of this pilot program. Bars will be approved for expanded seating in their parklets based on neighborhood input, and customers must always be seated in the outdoor space. Interested businesses must complete the permit application on the city's website, savannahga.gov, savannahga.gov. This pilot program was scheduled to expire yesterday, but the use of parking spaces for outdoor dining and drinking is now expanded and extended through Labor Day. The City of Savannah has received very positive feedback from the community and business owners about this program, and we're committed to assisting our businesses and our business community during this very challenging time. I've asked the city manager to consider exploring a longer pilot program that would include guidelines for furniture and barricades so our parklets have greater curb appeal. We also want your feedback on this program. You can take the online survey at savannahga.gov/outdoor dining feedback. savannahga.gov/outdoor dining feedback to let us know what you think. More than 80% of the responses so far support that more opportunities for sidewalk cafes, parklets, and street closures to help our local small business. As a reminder, the new safety protocols for graveside funeral services in the city-owned cemeteries, including Bonaventure, Greenwich, Laurel Grove North, and Laurel Grove South, went into effect yesterday and will be in place until further notice. If you have any questions, please call the City Cemetery Division at 912-651-6843, 912-651-6843, and we have notified all of our local funeral homes regarding these changes. Yesterday, I met with members of Savannah Faith, the city's partnership with the faith-based community. The vast majority of Savannah's churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples will remain closed until further notice. On this Thursday, the reopening task force will announce their findings and their recommendations, and we'll send out information about when that press conference will occur. The search for Savannah's next city manager is ongoing. The city's recruiting firm is accepting applications through June 29th, and the schedule calls for council to begin interviews in July. The council has set its priorities for the qualities that we want in a city manager, but we also solicited feedback from current city employees. We will consider that information as the process moves forward. I still remain horrified, as is most folks, with another police-involved shooting in Atlanta that culminated with the destruction of a neighborhood business. I expect to announce the police use of force task force in the coming days, and they will begin their work soon thereafter. We expect to have this process completed within 90 to 100 days. We have also experienced the vandalism of monuments, and we remind everyone that the defacing of monuments is a crime and you will be treated accordingly. While state law currently prohibits city governments from moving or removing monuments, city staff is reviewing our options. As you are familiar, there is a pending case in DeKalb County with the city of Decatur that we are watching closely. But I think that more importantly, this moment in time allows us to really talk about our history, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. And at this moment of time allows us to be able to view history in context, for us to be able to add narrative, to add explanation, and for us to really now think about creating opportunities for us to build new monuments, to honor new heroes, to name new streets, and to tell the stories of our present and future than just those of our past. Just some of my thoughts as we continue to navigate these waters during these very turbulent times. Today, I announced the formation of the Savannah Disparity Task Force, and as I've previously announced, I have asked our 64th Mayor, Dr. Otis Johnson, who is a noted social scientist, to lead us in that effort. I've asked Dr. Johnson to present a proposed work plan, and we intend to move forward intentionally and expeditiously to get this hard, long lifting done. Yesterday, the United States Supreme Court determined that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 also applies to the LGBTQ community. The City of Savannah welcomes everyone, we value everyone, and we will continue to ensure that we don't only meet the letter of the law, but we also meet the intent of the law to promote a safe, fair, and equitable environment for our employees. We will soon be introducing members of our LGBTQ task force that has been formulated and have been working to improve the relationship between the City of Savannah and our LGBT citizens, both inside and outside of our workforce. In other city business, we recently approved a proposed increase to the city's hotel-motel tax. The tax rate for staying in a hotel, motel, inn, or short-term vacation rental within the city limits would increase from 6% to 8% if approved by state lawmakers and the governor. The additional money the city collects will help fund the projects in the Canal District, waterfront improvements, as well as the Tide to Town urban trail system and Bay Street improvements. It's important to us that sales tax money is also seen and felt in neighborhoods. So we're hoping that we are able to move forward with this, but it's also important that the money that is spent here by people who come to visit us is also being seen in places other than places where visitors frequent. And we want that money to be seen and felt in our neighborhoods. And so that is why this is so important. And we hope that our business community, our state lawmakers and governor hear us and our ability to use this extra tax revenue, which would take place sometime after January of 2021. 1 week ago, I was encouraging you to get out and vote, and today we still do not have complete election results. I'm hoping that we can come together to find solutions to the issues that our state experienced last week, so we do not have this happen again in the upcoming runoffs or in November. We will not engage in finger pointing, rock throwing, or under the bus throwing. Our community deserves an election process that is coordinated, consistent, and fair, with a predictable timeline that votes can be accounted for and tabulated. Whatever the problems are, we want them fixed. I've shared my concerns personally with Tom Mahoney, chairman of the Chatham County Board of Elections, and he is committed to doing all he can to resolve these issues. I extend my thanks to the poll workers and to election personnel who started their day early last Tuesday and worked a frustrating day through early morning Wednesday, and they continue that work today to make sure that every vote in Chatham County is counted. Even though there were problems, a record number of Georgians voted in Tuesday's primary election, and we want to make sure that every vote counts. Voting ensures that you have a say in how you're represented in this county, state, and country, and more people participating benefits all of us. To that end, I'm also working with various groups of Savannahans to include them in conversations and help build relationships with our city government. At this year's inauguration, you remember I spoke about bringing people, all kinds of people, to the table. And since then, we have been meeting at a feverish pitch with members of our faith, Hispanic, LGBTQ, small business, big business communities, just to name a few. And we will continue to lead to add more chairs to the table for other groups shortly. Listening to these different perspectives will help us make Savannah the best city it can be for everyone and for everyone who lives here. You could also help us do that by completing the 2020 census. Savannah's response rate is creeping up slowly, but we're still behind Albany, Augusta, Atlanta, and 3 other cities in Chatham County. It's important for Savannah to lead, and I'm calling for our city to lead. Come on, y'all. The census is critical, and funding for infrastructure, schools, housing, and all other types of programs are critical to us. And so we know that's based on population, and we need your help. So we need you, your friends, your family members to call 844-330-2020. That's 844-330-2020, or go online to my2020census.gov, my2020census.gov, and fill out the census today. It only takes a couple of minutes. Finally, I want to send a special and huge shout out to a special group of employees that are the heroes behind the heroes that we know and that we see every day. For every police unit, for every piece of fire apparatus, for every trash truck or city vehicle, there are committed public professionals that are the best in their field in the repair of these city-owned cars, trucks, and equipment. These folks are superheroes for real. Since January 1st, they have completed 1,125 what's called preventive maintenance, and they have done 388 of those from April through May in the middle of a pandemic. They have completed over 2,500, almost 2,600 repairs of police, fire, sanitation, and city vehicles, and they've done 636 of those, again, in April and May. Although our city slowed down, our fleet services department had not slowed down. And last week I visited them to congratulate them for the work that they do, and I want you to join me in saluting the good men and women of our Fleet Services Division for keeping Savannah on the road. And we appreciate them for all that they do. Thank you so much for being you, and thank you for being the superheroes behind the superheroes. That ends my prepared statements. And as I always say, may God bless you. May God continue to bless the city of Savannah. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
You said you're concerned, I'll start over again. You said you're concerned about the trajectory of cases, and you talked about the fact that things are opening up today. What is it that you could do, if anything, in an emergency order?
I think that, and just for purposes of the strategy, we're discussing what our options are. But again, we're very clear about where we were and where we are now. The numbers speak for themselves, and so I think that there are some legal maneuvers that we can take, and so we'll continue to have those conversations with our city attorney, and should the need arise again, I think there are some things that we can do.
Can you elaborate on what they might be?
Not at this time, but I promise you the moment I can, I will.
And Mr. Mayor, so for the extended outdoor dining program, do you know about how many restaurants so far are involved in it, and what kind of feedback are you getting from them?
We don't have that. We'll put that out as add that to my comments.
Okay, great. And from just talking to businesses, though, what kind of feedback have you been getting that, how it's been helping?
Again, I think it's been very positive. I mean, I think that in this case, what the city has been able to do was to be able to find ways to make the best out of a bad situation. We recognize that there were restrictions in place because of COVID-19. We recognize that restaurants and bars are based off of volume. So how are we able to find a happy place between meeting the restrictions and allowing them to make volume? So we basically expanded their dining rooms. I think it creates, a city like Savannah, it works well anyway. because we are such a beautiful city. People enjoy sitting outside. And so I really want to thank the city manager, the city attorney, and city staff and being able to help us devise ways to do it and do it in a safe manner that does not infringe on the community, but yet still allow businesses to be able to operate. I'm expecting, we've even talked about some discussions about, various times of closing Broughton Street. Again, I'm open to those discussions, and how in other ways that we can be able to balance both public safety, public comfort, and then accommodate the businesses to be able to serve and to be able to earn income. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
Do you still have concerns about how many people are coming to visit Savannah? Even this past weekend, the weekend before, there's a ton of people out here. It's definitely not just people that live here. They're asking for directions. So as the numbers go up, is that also one of your concerns still?
Absolutely. I think it's clear. You walk outside City Hall and you see people all over the place. And that's a good thing for Savannah generally, except that we're in a pandemic. We have been working with our business community. We now have a tourism pledge. We want people, again, we want them to enjoy our city, but we want them to do it in safe ways. We want them to wear face coverings. That's universal across the country. We want them to wash their hands. We want them to observe social distancing. And so to the point where we can, which is why Savannah Safe is so important, that if people don't want to do it voluntarily, that our business community is helping to facilitate that by enforcing safe behaviors. Last night I went to go eat at Olive Garden, and again, very impressed, by the use of face masks, very impressed by the social distancing, very impressed by the paper menus. Again, seeing very good practices at work, and of course the food was excellent as usual, so to boot. So I think we can achieve all of those things. So we want to salute businesses doing the right thing.
And with the governor lifting some of those restrictions today and more things opening up, do you think that it's too soon?
Personally, I would have preferred a more measured, more phased-in approach based on the science. I think if you look nationally, it's clear that there are now spikes in states across the country, to include Georgia. Whereas you see New York and New Jersey, in the midst of all of this, their numbers are still going down. So I think I would have preferred personally a much more measured, much more phased-in approach. I'm not the governor. We respect his will. We respect his authority. We respect his orders. That's just probably not the way we would have played that out here in Savannah.
And one last thing for you, with the governor saying that he would like to see the state budget cut, there's a lot of nonprofits in our area that I know are very concerned about how that's going to affect them. So what are your concerns for the nonprofits here in Savannah that really, help a lot of people that live here that might have to make those cuts?
Absolutely. I think we're going to have the same issue here locally with the city budget. But there are some issues in which the state is responsible for. The state is responsible for mental health. And we know that not only the individuals that have mental health, we know mental health doesn't necessarily have a face. It doesn't have a prototype. So there are people that even from the COVID, from the demonstrations, are now in a mental health crisis. And so now reducing those funds definitely concerns us, because here they're at a state level. And so how do we deal with those issues? We've received some concerns about the Coastal State Prison and in terms of infection rate going up there. In the end, there are people who are incarcerated there, but there are also people who work there, that leave there and go to these communities. So again, we're very concerned about that. We have to make some tough choices in our budget. How do we balance the needs of the nonprofits with the needs of citizens who have had a very, very rough year? And again, it's a balancing act the state has to do. I'm very concerned about education. And of course, they're talking about cutting education. This is not the time that we cut education. But again, they have their balancing act to do, and we have ours. Thank you.
Just one more question for me. Yesterday, Congressman Buddy Carter
I do not at this time. I didn't receive the call. So yeah, I mean, that's how I learn news a lot of times. So, all right, well, everybody else. Okay, good. You good? You have another question? Oh no, Sean is always last. Yes. No. Right, well, here's your one last, then
Okay, actually, a couple.
go ahead.
And you can do these in any order you want. In terms of visitors, is the visitor center open for business? How are you going to navigate that concern that you have about the public restrooms and cleaning those?
Well, again, it's been closed. Our intentions are to open it up. Again, we need a measured way of being able to clean it often. Again, it's also small spaces, so we'll be announcing that plan within the week.
And when you talk about the businesses following the state program, is that they can require coverings inside their facilities? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I think the primary issue is that the staff is wearing face coverings in terms of preparing food, preparing whatever materials, and interacting with the public. It is within a business's right, just like no shirt, no shoes, no service, to be able to require people, if they're coming into their business, to be able to wear a face covering. Now, we know that you don't have to wear a face covering while you're eating. I think, people, sometimes take things to the extreme. But I think, for the most part, I think businesses can regulate that and should regulate that.
Okay, and this really is the last one. We talked right when we started about the current stats of Chatham County and Dallas. How worried are you about the figures and about the opening happening on the same day?
I've been worried. I've been worried. Again, this is day 107 of this. If you look at it over the entire length of it, Savannah is in the bottom half or Chatham County is in the bottom half of infections across the state, 159 counties, and you look at Chatham and we're in the bottom half. I think that is due to a variety of things, not only the proactiveness of this city government, the expertise of the Coastal Health District in partnering with us, but really because Savannahans kept the faith and followed the signs. They were doing the things we were asking them to do. And so I would just hate to see all of that good effort go away because now people think that it's, we're back where we are. As far as I'm concerned, we're still in a pandemic. The city of Savannah is acting as if we're still in a pandemic. When you came into this building, your temperature had to be checked. While you're in this building, you're supposed to wear face coverings. We're serious about this. And so we cannot lead in places that we're not going. And so we're going to continue to do this until the science indicates that we can move to the next phase. Yes, sir, Joanne? Okay. And finally, Ms. Evans.
Which again, to clarify, which phase are we in right now? We're still
We're still on one.
We're still on one. Okay. To the expanded outdoor seating point again, Katie asked a question about that. I know the purpose of it was to create that space outdoors to not only give businesses that opportunity to expand their clientele patron numbers, but also to help those patrons feel a little more safe in being outdoors and not in a closed space. Is there a concern now that with the governor's new executive order going into effect, that businesses will start prioritizing opening that indoor space back up so they can open up parking spaces, seeing that that might be more beneficial financially? And is there a plan at the city level to perhaps incentivize or offer up more discounts on those leases or make the application process even easier for those businesses wanting to take advantage from restaurants and bars?
Well, I think that the process is really easy. And I think that, when you look at indoor dining as opposed to outdoor dining, because a restaurant opens up indoors, people still are finding it safer outdoors. The weather tends to be nicer. And for us, this is a privilege. So if a business is deciding to do this more indoors, then outdoor privileges can be revoked. And so staff will make those case-by-case decisions. Again, we don't want people, the purpose of the outdoor dining is to be able to facilitate safe facilities. I don't think you really get to have it both ways. And so, again, I think the staff has a good, well-thought-out plan for addressing them case by case. And if they want to open up parking spaces, they certainly could do that. Again, this is a voluntary program. And if we are seeing that people are not complying, that's a privilege that we can take away.
Thank you. And last thing for me, you mentioned numerous task force groups that are going to be formed or that are being formed right now to address a number of different topics, from policing disparity to other issues in the community. How can people get involved with those groups if they haven't been appointed already, if they want a voice in this process? Can you explain that?
Sure. What we've been doing is creating partnerships with groups of people. So, for example, with Savannah Faith, we met with them yesterday. We probably have over 100 ministers and members of clergy on that task force. So we're engaging with them as a group. For our LGBTQ task force, we have connected with the leaderships of those groups. So in the leadership of those groups, then people are connected. In our discussions with our labor partners, again, we're meeting with the leaders of those groups, so people are engaged through their group, whatever that is. As we talk with our, there was a couple other groups. Pardon? Yeah, thank you. With our Hispanic leaders, we've been, again, meeting with the leaders of those groups. So as we introduce the task force, and again, we've been meeting, we want to do it at a time that the groups feel comfortable in doing that. So you'll see over the next month or so us actually bringing people to City Hall, introducing them to you with a mission and a statement and a name. And so if people want to get involved, we encourage them to get involved through those different groups. And that makes it easier for us to have defined points of contact because these groups already are representing and advocating for the greater goods. So we found that to be very effective. I have literally been going from Zoom meeting to Zoom meeting. And we've done the same for the media. I need to be able to say that. We've met twice with our media partners across our community. Again, the role of this administration is to create more seats at the table for people. And so how you do that is you have to invite people to the table. And so we're excited about what has been taking place so far. It's been very good dialogue. We've had courageous conversations about things that the city hasn't done so well. But I've also been very enlightened about the things that people are saying the city has done well. And so we're looking forward to those continued conversations. And as we introduce these groups to you, I think you will also find that we've been very deliberative, been very thoughtful, very intentional in our processes to involve people. That's it?
Going last. When you go, questions are always
Right. Well, again, appreciate all of you and the work that you do. We appreciate Team Savannah for continuing 107 days. It has been today, 5 months and 16 days since I became the mayor of the city. I'm not counting, I just happen to know that. But again, we are continuing to manage through some very strange times. I certainly thank our members of our city council who did not have an idea what they were getting themselves into. None of us did, but yet we're here, we're serving, we're managing, and we're doing the best we can in some very courageous times. So we appreciate all that you do. May God bless you, be safe, wipe those cameras down, and may God bless Savannah.